Evening, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Welcome to tonight's presentation. I'm going to get straight into it because it's all about taking action. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Taking action, GSD, which stands for getting shit done, in case you didn't know, and doing what you said you'd do. And it really is, and this is taking action with what we're trying to do, losing weight, burn body fat, get in shape, but this will have some crossovers to any goal that you want to set. So it's relevant for anything that you want to get better at or improve in an area of your life. So first of all, you've got to set that goal. And I know that sounds bloody obvious, but most people just don't set goals. I don't know what the actual percentage of people is, but I saw a stat that said that 90% of people have never set more of a goal than where they're going to go on holiday or vacation in the summer. Most people just don't write their goals down. One, they don't set them, and two, they definitely don't write them down. So specifically to what we're trying to do, you want to write the goal down, and rather than say, I want to lose 30 pounds, it's better to do it in the first person. I weigh, take off 30 pounds or whatever the goal is on the 1st of September, for example. I've just pulled that up as an example. So I weigh 150 pounds by the 1st of December, or whatever your goal is. And that's a command. Remember, when you give a command to your brain, to your subconscious, you're more likely to make it happen because you're actually telling your subconscious, this is what I want to happen. Rather than saying, I want to lose 30 pounds. What does that mean? The subconscious likes direct commands. So when you say, I weigh 1st September, the chances of that actually happening are much greater. Of course, you've still got to take action. But setting goals doesn't miraculously get you to where you need to go. You still need to take action. Then you need to look at your why. I talk about this all the time. It all starts with why. Simon Sinek wrote that book. And this is what is going to pull you towards your goal. So rather than always pushing, when you have a why, and they're the reasons that you want to get there, and let's look at what those reasons could be. These are just some of the ones that I pulled off the top of my head. Look good in clothes, sleep better, more sex with wife, husband, partner, confidence, live longer, role model for kids, do more things in life, enjoy life more. And you could write 100 different variations of them. And it's all different to every single one of you. Every individual's why is going to be completely different, but it's got to be your why. The reasons for me getting in shape are going to be very different to everyone else listening to this presentation. So a good exercise to do, you could do this right now and listen to the presentation, pause this and get pen and paper out and actually write down 20 reasons why you want to achieve your goal. Now, the first 10 you'll get, the last 10 are really hard, but dig deep, think about it. It's a really good exercise. Okay, this is why I want to get where I want to go, because it's not the 28 pounds less on the scales. It's what that 28 pounds gives you. That's the reason why. And the why is what's going to get you to your goal and keep you there, because that's the reason you're trying to do this. Okay. And you've got to ask yourself this one question. And this is what comes down to needing to get shit done, taking action. What needs to happen to make this a reality? Ask yourself that question. What needs to happen to make this a reality? You've got your goal, but how are you going to put that into practice? What are the steps needed to get from A to B? And that's what we're going to look at. And it really is a case of breaking it down. And you've got your big goal, 90 days, which is roughly the 12 weeks that we're doing on this program. Break it down. Where do you need to be at the halfway mark? Where do I need to be in 45 days time? And that could be the result or the actions that you're taking. What would it take for me to achieve my big goal in 90 days? Where do I need to be at the halfway mark? And then you could break it down a little bit more. Where do I need to be in a month's time, in 30 days time? You could chunk it down. Where do I need to be in 7 days time? What do I need to do on a daily basis? That's what it all comes down to. So people set these big goals and they almost think, well, I'm trying to lose 30 pounds in 12 weeks or even in 6 months, because 30 pounds in 12 weeks is fantastic going. Let's say it was 6 months for someone else. It can seem like a big mountain to climb, but when you chunk it down, break it down into portion size, manageable goals, it doesn't actually seem that unobtainable. And that's what you've got to do. And then all you've got to do is do the actions that you're going to set on a daily basis. And then times that by 7 for a week, times that by 4 for 4 weeks in a month, and so on. I know it sounds obvious, But most people don't even write the goal in the first place, never mind chunking it down, breaking it down into bite-sized bits of information. And this would then create the action steps. Again, these might not necessarily be the action steps that you need, but maybe they are. The ones that if we're trying to lose weight, probably these 4 or 5 action steps may be in your action steps. For sure, if you're trying to lose body fat, you're going to need to be in that calorie deficit. And the only way that you're going to do that is by tracking daily. Okay, you can track 3 or 4 days a week, but are you going to get the best results? Probably not. Maybe if it's working, but if it's not working, we always start with tracking daily on a daily basis. If I look at 99% of the clients that have lost 25 pounds and more in 12 weeks or over 6 months, they've always been tracking at least 6 days out of 7. And they've done that regularly every single week. So calorie deficit is the only way you can lose body fat. Increase of protein. We know that that's going to be a step that's going to get you closer to your goal faster for all the reasons you guys know. And just to give you a very quick recap, we know that high protein keeps you fuller for longer, so satiety. Secondly, you're effectively made of muscle. Sorry, you're made of protein. Your muscles are made of protein. So we need a certain amount of protein to stay alive, but it's not enough in terms of burning fat and building muscle. We want to be increasing that. And I mentioned neurotransmitters before, things like dopamine pathway. And this is the dopamine is released when we get excited about things. So protein will elicit a very, very small dopamine response, which means it keeps you nice and focused, keeps you full, keeps you happy, keeps you on track. That's why we want to have protein. Again, I've just said exercise 4 times per week. For you, it could be 3. For other people watching this presentation, it could be 5 or 6. But you set your goal. This is what's going to take. It's going to take for me to get to where I need to go. And when you lock it in and say, I'm going to exercise 4 times a week, every single week, until I achieve my goal, it becomes easy. It's non-negotiable. And we'll talk about non-negotiables in a bit. Sleep by 10 p.m. Again, it's just the time I pulled up because it's the time I go to bed. It's not always 10 p.m. I aim for 10. Very often, probably 3 or 4 days a week, it's 20 past 10, sometimes half 10. But I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning. So if it's half 10, I'm going to be a little bit tired. If I can go to bed at 10 and I'm up at 5, 7 hours, tends to do me okay. 3 liters of water per day. That's a given for most people, and so on and so on. So your action steps are going to be exactly what you need. Okay, so you can't just download someone else's action steps, although they're going to be very similar. Write down the steps that you need to take on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis to get you to where you need to go. And this aspect is so important. You need to book it in the diary. You need to make it non-negotiable, block out the time. Now, if you're watching this presentation, it's pretty safe for me to say you're either employed or you're self-employed and you need to get shit done. If you've got a boss, if he or she rather, put something in the diary and said there's a meeting at 7 a.m. on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday for the next 12 weeks, apart from calling them all the names under the sun, you would be on that Zoom call at 7 a.m. 3 days a week, because if you don't, you're going to get sacked. You need to make your exercise non-negotiable. You have to block out the time. And I always like to use the example as the dentist. Now, the dentist, as we know, is a necessary evil. Like, I personally don't mind the dentist. Some people detest the dentist and are really scared, but it's not the most pleasant of experiences, especially if you're going to get some work. And it's, you just got to go and get it done, because if you don't, your teeth fall out. And if you miss your appointment, they charge you. Okay. So you don't miss a dentist appointment, because in the diary, it's going to cost you some money. You don't miss it. Now, if you had the same idea around your exercise sessions, would you miss those exercise sessions? The answer is no. And again, a job interview, would you miss a job interview? If it was in the diary, you wouldn't. Here's a good thing. It's one thing that you probably won't do. Every time you miss an important meeting with yourself, whether that's going to the gym or doing something that's going to take you towards your goal, donate 50 quid to a charity that you don't like, $50, wherever you're listening to this presentation. Look, it's not going to happen, but that's the type of thing you need to be thinking about. What would be uncomfortable? Because it's almost like holding yourself accountable. There has to be some type of consequence. There has to be some type of consequence. Or it's very easy to say, if I don't go now, no one's going to know. And you're right, no one will know. You're only letting yourself down if you don't do it. But when you start taking this seriously, often I speak to clients, and this is not necessarily you listening, but previous clients, it could be you listening. A lot of people come to the end of the day and say, I'd planned to work out today, but I just ran out of time, and this thing's happened and that thing's happened. And I will say to them, well, did you have meetings? Did you have client calls? Did you have a meeting with a boss? Did you have lunch? They said, yeah, it was all mapped out in my diary. So why didn't you book your exercise session? Why didn't you take that 1 hour out so it becomes non-negotiable? When it's in the diary, the chances of you getting it done go through the roof. Now, you could still override that diary and ignore it, but when it's logged, when it's booked in, you tend to make it happen. So that's my top tip. Get it in the diary like you would every single other meeting in your life. Take the consequences, got to be consequential. You've got to think, well, what's going to happen if I don't do this? Okay, try and think of it like that. It's going to make a big difference. And here's the thing about motivation. You don't always need motivation. Like a lot of people say, well, I just wasn't motivated. Well, if you're waiting to exercise or control your calories or track your calories or do something that's going to take you towards your goal, if you're always looking to be motivated, I can tell you right now, you're going to fail, because motivation's finite. It runs out. When everything's running smoothly, you've slept well, the boss isn't on your back, the weather's good, all these things, money's good, everything's going well in life, motivation tends to be higher. But when the shit hits the fan, which it often does in life, throws us a curveball, and there's a million things that can go wrong in this life, you're not going to get up and feel motivated. But if you've got the goal set, your why is high, it's strong, it's passionate, you've written those reasons why you want to achieve what you want to achieve, motivation is irrelevant. Go back to your why and you use that why as leverage. And I always say, look, it's not a lack of motivation, you just have crappy goals. When you've got a massive goal and that why is super important, it doesn't matter how motivated you are, you just go. And it's also a case of just doing what you said you'd do. There we are, ahead, do what you said you'd do. If it's in the diary, come rain or shine, you go for your walk, you go to the gym, you do what you said you would do to yourself, because it's important. And almost when you take the option off the menu, it actually becomes easy. But here's a great tactic, great tool. And some of you in the mastery, we'll be talking about this as a module on journaling and the power of journaling. And I don't know if any of you have actually used a journal before, actually journaled on a daily basis or even a couple of times a week. But this is not just my personal experience, or that is true. This is scientifically been studied. It's been proven that actually journaling, the very act of writing pen to paper, can boost memory and comprehension. And you can prioritize fears, concerns, and problems. And it can massively reduce stress and improve immune function. And it helps you get shit done. Now, I always talk about on the coaching calls goals and intentions. Goals and intentions is really just a more powerful or more empowering way of calling what your to-do list. It's really a to-do list, but a to-do list almost signifies chores, like, take the bin out or do the dishes or pay the rent or the mortgage, or those type of things. It's stuff that has to be done, but it's not inspiring, it's not motivating. Goals and intentions, same to-do list, but just a different spin. So you can write your goals and intentions down, and you can all the stuff that we've talked about through this presentation about planning daily, weekly, monthly, 3-monthly, and so on. What needs to be done? Write it down in your journal. And some of you, as I said, in the mastery, will go through this journaling training. And here's the thing, I'm going to end on this. It's all about, sometimes you can have all the planning in the world, the goal, the why, the action steps needed to do what you need to do, but sometimes you've just got to do it, regardless of how you feel. When it comes down to it, You know what to do. You just have to do it, and only you can do it. And why would you do it though? Is what it comes down to. Because you said you would. Because you said you would. It's as simple as that. You're holding your own feet to the fire, making yourself accountable to yourself. Just do what you said you would do. And this is where the mindset shift comes. When you commit, it actually becomes easier because there's no other option. And I'm going to use myself as an example here. And if you don't mind, and I don't say this to brag, but I go to the gym 7 days a week, or I do some type of exercise 7 days a week. Why? Because I said to myself, I want to be fit, healthy, have energy, be alive, stay on the planet as long as possible. So I resonate, my whole value system is based around being fit and healthy. So I've just said to myself, come rain or shine, I'm going to the gym. Now, I've got a couple of exceptions. If I go to bed after midnight, I don't get up at 5 o'clock, which is almost never. If I've had a big drink, which again is almost never this year, there's no point sacrificing getting 4.5 hours of sleep and waking up groggy just to say, oh, I've gone to the gym, because you're not going to be productive. It's going to be a waste of a session. And quite frankly, sleep is more valuable than getting to the gym. But so 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock. And if I go to bed at 11, I'm going to be tired when I get up at 5 o'clock. But I've said I'm going to go to the gym. And that doesn't matter if it's sunny, if it's pissing down outside, if it's, as long as the car works, I can get to the gym, I'm going to go to the gym. Because I said I'm going to go to the gym, because I know that it makes me feel good. And I've started the day in a positive way. I've built a little bit of muscle, burned some fat, sweated, my endorphins are up. It gets me come back to my house at 7 a.m. I start the day knowing I've got that done 7 days a week. And that's just what I've committed to do. So if you can actually commit to something, although it's hard to make the commitment, once you've made the commitment, it actually becomes very easy, because there's not an option. It's not a case of do I go or don't I go. When you're in bed and the alarm goes off at 5 a.m., I'm tired every morning, if I'm honest. I could stay in bed for another hour, probably 2 hours if I'm feeling really lazy, but that alarm goes off. I've got a Fitbit on my arm, so it just like buzzes. I just swing my legs up, I get straight out. And I'm staggering through, and I'm put the kettle on, make my coffee, have my water. And then probably 2 or 3 days of the week, I'm saying, God, I wish I could go back to bed. But I've taken the option of going back to bed off the menu. And it's hard to get to that point, but when you do, it becomes really, really easy because there's no other option. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, guys. And I'm going to end on this. This is the last slide. This isn't from me. I have to admit, I stole this, or rather I borrowed it from Tony Robbins. So if you're a fan of Tony Robbins, but where your attention goes, energy flows and result shows. What you put your attention to, and this is positive or negative. And you've got to be very careful with this. If you focus on the things that you don't want, guess what? You're going to get more of the things that you don't want. If you focus on the fact that you can't pay bills, or you're hanging around with loads of negative people, or things aren't going wrong, guess what? When your attention goes onto something, whether it's positive or negative, you're going to get more of that, because your energy is going to flow to the outcome that you either want or you don't want. And results will show. So let's focus on the things that we want. Okay? Give your attention to the things that you want. Set the goals, create that why, make it strong, get some passion behind it. Do the action steps, break it down, chunk it down, focus on what you want. The energy is going to go towards that. And when energy goes to a situation or something that you want to achieve in a positive way and a negative way, when your energy goes towards it, things happen. Maybe you meet a person that could help you towards a goal, or you find a blog post and you think, I never thought of that. There's an idea I can take. When you're focused on something, things seem to happen. It's almost like a reverse conspiracy. Things seem to happen. They open up opportunities, situations. You've heard me talk about the RAS, the reticular activating system. That's really a filtering system. So we're using the RAS to focus on what we want. The energy is going to flow to it. And we can only focus on one thing at a time, really. We're like a compass. We can, whatever we focus on, our energy will go, our attention will go to that, and results will show in the area that you're focused on. That's the end of the presentation, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Whether you listen to this in the mastery or the 12 weeks, hope you enjoyed that. Watch it all the way through, take a few notes, ask any questions. I'll see you on your next coaching call.